It was 1 in the morning in Texas. A German soccer fan named Freddy pulled off the highway looking for gas. What he found broke the internet instead. He posted a single photo with 4 words in all caps. "Dude, LMAO, this is a gas station." Within days, that post had been viewed more than 24 million times. 24 million views. For a gas station. Not a goal. Not a stadium. A convenience store off a Texas highway. This wasn't a one-off. Across the entire 2026 World Cup, thousands of European visitors have been having the exact same reaction. To American gas stations of all things. This is the story of how a Texas gas station chain became one of the most talked about stops of the entire World Cup. Bigger, for some fans, than the matches themselves. And it all starts with one question every European visitor has asked the moment they walk through the doors. Why does a gas station need this many gas pumps? The chain at the center of it all is called Buc E's, a Texas-born travel center that has quietly become a tourist attraction in its own right. The biggest location has 120 gas pumps. For comparison, a large station in most European countries might have 8. Inside, it isn't a convenience store. It's a 75,000 square foot building that looks more like a supermarket, with entire aisles dedicated to jerky, candy, and Texas-shaped waffle irons. One French visitor admitted he wanted to hate it, to stay above it all, he said. Then he tried a snack called Beaver Nuggets. He said he ended up eating the entire bag alone in the parking lot. It doesn't stop at snacks. Freddy also stopped by Bass Pro Shop's outdoor world nearby, describing a wall of hunting rifles on display as, in his words, another surreal place. By the time he sat down with his food at 1 in the morning, Freddy had documented the whole thing like he'd stumbled onto something historic. In a way, for millions of viewers watching from Europe, he had. To understand why this went so viral, you have to understand what a gas station actually means in most of Europe. In a lot of countries, it's exactly what the name says, a place to buy gas. Maybe it sells a few snacks. Maybe a small fridge of drinks. Nothing close to what American visitors would call a supermarket. So when a European visitor walks into a building the size of an airport terminal, sees 100+ fuel pumps, and a deli counter serving fresh brisket sandwiches, the scale alone breaks their brain a little. One marketing writer covering the trend put it simply. For Texans, it's just a gas station with good billboards. For a European seeing it for the first time, there's genuinely no equivalent back home. That gap, between what Americans consider mundane and what the rest of the world experiences as extraordinary, is the whole engine behind these viral videos. And once one fan's video went viral, thousands of others started filming their own version of the exact same discovery, turning an ordinary pit stop into a running joke and a badge of honor across the entire tournament. Freddy was just the beginning. Once his video spread, other fans started posting their own reactions to the exact same discovery. A Swedish fan named Elsa went viral in Indiana for her reaction to something else entirely American, ranch dressing. Her genuine, wide-eyed response to dipping her first fry in it made her an overnight favorite on social media. A British fan discovered big gulps at a 7-Eleven in Orlando and called it, in his own words, one of his favorite discoveries of the entire trip. A Japanese sports reporter, who had crossed the entire Pacific Ocean to cover the tournament, documented his first taste of Nashville hot chicken with the same reverence most journalists reserve for a championship match. One French tourist described the road trip itself as a discovery machine, finding a country singer named Ella Langley on the radio and becoming, in his words, a big fan by the end of the trip. Every single one of these clips followed the exact same shape. An ordinary American moment, filmed by someone experiencing it for the very first time, turning into something the rest of the internet couldn't stop watching. But if there's one single concept that broke more European brains than anything else, it's this: free refills. In a lot of European countries, every refill costs money. So when an Italian fan discovered he could refill his soda for free, as many times as he wanted, he filmed the entire moment like he'd found a loophole in the universe. It didn't stop there. One fan documented the very specific pain of drinking a gas station slushy too fast, introducing an entire continent to the concept of brain freeze in real time. And ice. Actual ice, filling half the cup every single time without asking. For visitors from countries where a drink might arrive without a single cube, it was somehow one of the most talked about details of the entire trip. None of this was a marketing campaign. Nobody paid these fans to film it. It was simply the accumulated shock of 100 small differences, one gas station receipt at a time. Fast food chains became their own attraction. Freddy called Taco Bell simply the Holy Land, a description that spread almost as fast as his gas station post. Waffle House showed up again and again across dozens of different fans' posts, a 24-hour diner that, for many visitors, became the unofficial symbol of their entire American road trip. Freddy's list kept growing. Chili's, Freddy's Frozen Custard, Chipotle, Buffalo Wild Wings. Each one filmed with the same wide-eyed enthusiasm as the last. The portion sizes alone became a running theme. Plates arriving that looked built for 2 or 3 people, served to one visitor who had ordered what they thought was a normal meal. One fan even documented his first encounter with coleslaw at a barbecue meal, unsure at first whether it was a side dish or a dessert. Every meal became content. Every menu became a discovery. And every plate that arrived a little too large became, somehow, one more reason to fall in love with the trip. But the moments that stuck with people most weren't always about the food. They were about how visitors were treated. One deli owner reportedly gave a group of British tourists a free lunch. Simply, in his words, because they'd come all this way. In Alabama, a group of firefighters reportedly gave a group of foreign visitors a full tour of their fire station, along with free merchandise, just because they'd stopped by to say hello. Restaurant owners reportedly drove fans to games themselves when they couldn't find a ride. One social media user summed it up simply. This hospitality is what happens when people live by their values, not just talk about them. One widely shared quote captured the whole trend perfectly. If you want to hate America, watch the news. If you want to love it, drive across it. Thousands of small, unremarkable moments like these, a free sandwich, a fire station tour, a stranger's spare seat, ended up meaning more to visitors than almost anything that happened on the pitch. One video production team watching all of this unfold made an observation worth remembering. Events don't create engagement. Reactions do. The World Cup itself was always going to be massive, but the content people couldn't stop watching wasn't always the game-winning goal. Sometimes it was just a tourist standing inside a gas station, completely unable to process what they were seeing. These weren't polished, professional videos either. They were filmed on phones at 1 a.m. by people who had no idea they were about to go viral. And maybe that's exactly why it worked. Nobody was selling anything. A German fan just wanted gas at 1 a.m. and accidentally showed the rest of the world something Americans had stopped noticing about their own country. By the time the tournament moves on to its next host city, the matches will be remembered for their scorelines. But for a lot of these visitors, the trip itself will be remembered for a gas station, a slushie, and a bag of Beaver Nuggets eaten alone in a parking lot. And somewhere in Texas tonight, another visitor is probably walking through those doors for the very first time, phone already out, about to film the exact same thing.